by all means, we want to hear from you. So reach out to us, and Larry will answer whatever question you have. Let's now go to Dave, who's joining us from Mount Dora. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, Larry, I've got a 2013 Cadillac CTS and recently had a bad problem. The evaporator core in the AC was leaking, and I took it back to the dealership, or took it to the dealership, and they ripped the dash out and replaced the core. And the AC works just fine now. However, passenger side, we had a little cold a couple of days ago, and I got heat on the passenger side, AC and heat both. On the driver's side, no heat. Now I'm going to take it back to the dealership, but I just want to get a take from you. We looking at having to rip that dash out of there again?
I would have to look at the labor time on that. Dave, listen, when we pull a dash out of something like a Cadillac or a Mercedes or some of these big SUVs or whatever, we always tell the customer, it would be a good idea to go ahead and replace both blendors motors and the mode motor that is behind that dash. Now, some of them you can get to. Usually the ones on the passenger side are, you can actually get to them to replace them. But the ones on the driver's side, now that gets kind of iffy. You've only got so much room to access that from the bottom or through wherever the instrument cluster may be. Where you pull the instrument cluster out, if you can't get into it from there, or pull the radio out in the middle of the dash, if you still can't get to it, then, it may require removing the dash again. I hope that it's not that, and I hope they don't charge you again for it, because unless you had, they should have told you, hey, it's a 2013 vehicle, it's 9 years old, getting ready to go on 10, these electric mode motors and blendor motors, they're problematic after they get a few years on them. It should have been advisable for them to go ahead and recommend those while they had this out and apart.
Yeah. Well, they did such a good job, I could never tell the thing had ever been worked on after I got it back, and then this problem with the heat came up. And I remember earlier on in the year when I bought the car, I believe it, as I recall, it did have heat on the driver's side. What in your estimate, what could be wrong there?
Well, what happens is those blendor motors, they will, I don't want to throw any darts at somebody here, but, maybe he didn't get the connector back on right, because all that stuff has got to be disconnected in order to take the dash out of the car. That's part of the wiring harness behind the dash. So, something like that could have been disturbed, and just maybe he didn't get it all the way on, or either it gave up the ghost shortly right after the repair was done. And, regardless, that is what the problem is. There's no question about that. It's definitely a blendor problem. If the other side's working okay and this side isn't, then, it's a blendor problem. And, that motor that operates that is there's something wrong with it. And when you get into a situation like that, like I said, it could be World War III. It could have to pull the whole entire dash back out of this car in order to access that. And under the circumstances, I would really hate for you to get tagged again on it.
Well, I just wanted to talk to you. I don't want to get a song and dance from the dealership. They've treated me real well so far, so I'm hoping they'll continue.
Yeah. Well, I hope so too, Dave. Well, we know what's wrong with it. And like I said, it may be accessible, it might be. Because a lot of times you pull the radio and everything out of the middle of the dash. Sometimes they're accessible. But there's a lot of vehicles that you have to pull the dash in order to get to the driver's side blendor motor. So, anytime that we have to, and Ford trucks, Navigators, Lincolns, F-150s, you got to pull the dash to replace the driver's side blendor motor on all of them, So anytime we've got them out, it's like cover your butt, as they say. Go ahead and
Yeah.
if the customer tells you, no, I'm not going to spend 1 penny more than just fixing the evaporator or heater core, that's up to them. But you got to give the customer the opportunity and just try to give them good advice. When you're into a big major job like that. Because it's a few hours to pull a dash out of one of them and put it back in. And if they did it without cracking cracking the dash or any of the plastic split on it whenever they was doing it, they done a real good job and they were very careful. So especially on one that's getting to be 10 years old now. So, but on that, Dave, I wish you the absolute best of luck. And if you need my help or some advice, you know how to get in touch with me.
Oh, thank you so much, Larry. Thank you very much.
You have a great weekend.